Welcome to the Reins of Leadership, the podcast dedicated to helping you lead with presence and influence with trust. I'm your host, Marinda Smith, business leadership strategist, sharing actionable insights on mindset, EQ and energy uniquely illuminated by wisdom gained alongside my equine partners. Recently, I was running a workshop for a group of trainers and assessors. We were diving into the nuances of communication and influence as you stand in front of that room. We were looking at how adult learners best absorb information and that critical congruence between what our words say and what our body language actually speaks. All essential elements, not just for trainers, but for every effective leader. And it kept bringing me back, as it so often does, to the paddock. The clarity of a cue, the energy you bring into the space, the deep presence required to lead effectively. Horses have been my greatest teachers here. So today we're going to explore those themes under the banner of clear cues, calm energy, and how the horses teach us about effective leadership. Whether you're leading a horse, a team, or a business, the principles are remarkably consistent. Let's begin. First of all, let's look at clear cues. Horses love their clarity. They thrive on it. They're not second guessers. They're not thinking, what does this human really want us to say? They need us to be clear. And that subtle shift in our posture, a breath out or the slightest suggestion of pressure, they'll pick up on everything. And they need consistency. I remember a moment during groundwork with a young gelding of mine, King, who's beautifully natured, willing, but extremely sensitive and unsure. I gave him a cue to step forward. My hand motioned go, yet my body tensed with a little anticipation, inadvertently saying, wait. He hesitated. He was frozen on the spot, his head up, his ears swivelling, looking utterly confused. And I realised when I'm looking at him and he hadn't moved, because he actually wants to please, so he will try when he knows what he's been asked. But I realised that I'd sent him a classic mixed message. The moment that I consciously relaxed my shoulders, took a breath, realigned my intention with my physical cue, I then repeated it to him. He stepped forward with confidence and softness, and his relief was unmistakable. I saw it there in him. He's going, I know what you need and I will give it to you. And in our teams, it's precisely the same dynamic. How often do we as leaders say one thing, perhaps about a new strategic direction or a project expectations, yet our tone, our follow-up actions, or even the priorities we actually emphasise say something else? We might announce a focus on innovation and then scrutinise every small risk and detail. So we're not being innovative at all. Or we talk about teamwork, yet then publicly praise only individual achievements without praising the whole team. These are the leadership equivalents of my muddled cue to King. For you, I'd like you to reflect on and think back to a moment this week, perhaps a recent project. Did you provide clear, unambiguous direction? Or might someone on your team have walked away guessing what you really meant or what the true priority was? I know it's a common human trait because I hear it often when I go to workplaces. People say something and I personally walk away and go, what were they meaning? There was so much underlying meaning to those comments that I'm not aware of. It's a cognitive bias where someone assumes others have the same background knowledge or context that they do, so they leave out important explanations or details. In everyday situations, you might hear it referred to as assuming shared understanding, skipping steps or leaving gaps, overestimating audience knowledge. It happens a lot in workplaces, it happens in training and even in casual conversations, and it can lead to confusion, mistakes, or people feeling left out. And a good remedy is encouraging a culture of asking clarifying questions and using teach-back techniques to check that understanding. And it's only when you ask those questions, those curious questions, that you get to understand their message with more clarity. When expectations, vision, or delegation lack that crystal clarity, we create total confusion. And a confused team member, just like confused horses, don't push forward confidently. They pause, they second guess, and they might spend valuable time seeking clarification, not just from you, but from multiple sources. Or even worse, they might disengage, assuming it's safer to do nothing than to do the wrong thing. Think about launching a new company initiative, for example. If the rollout plan is vague, if different departments receive slightly conflicting information from their managers, or if the ultimate why behind the decision and the desired outcome aren't clearly defined and consistently repeated, what happens? You get duplication of effort, you get missed deadlines, and frustrated team members who are all pulling in slightly different directions. They're burning energy, but they're not making a collective progress. That's the organisational equivalent of king. Hesitating because my cues weren't aligned. And again, clear, consistent messaging originating from the leadership and reinforced at every level is fundamental. Being a leader means taking full ownership of the messages you send, not just the words you speak in a meeting, but the entire energy package they arrive in and the consistency of that message over time. It's about ensuring your team knows exactly which direction to step and feels confident doing so. Now, energy. This is a huge one. Horses don't care what title you hold. They care how you show up. If you're anxious, distracted, or frustrated, they'll feel it instantly and reflect it back. In one of my training sessions recently, a brilliant trainer was struggling with a difficult student. The frustration was completely valid, but it was colouring the room. She asked how she could look at it differently, so we paused, took a breath together, and I asked her, "What energy do you want to lead with here?" After a few minutes, she shifted and grounded herself. And when she re-entered the room, she went in with a calm, clear confidence. And that was all it took to make an unmistakable difference. In leadership, the same principle holds. When you bring grounded, calm energy into a team, people relax. They feel safe. They open up. And this creates space where genuine collaboration can work together, allowing collaboration and those innovative ideas to surface. Mistakes are then seen not as failures to be hidden, but as learning opportunities because the fear of a volatile reaction is removed. Productivity often increases, not because people are pushed harder, but because they're operating from a place of focused engagement rather than anxious reactivity. Consider a high-stakes project with a looming deadline. If the leader is visibly stressed, snapping at team members, and constantly radiating panic, the team's energy will mirror that. They're likely to make errors, communication will break down, and creativity will plummet. But a leader who, despite the pressure, maintains a calm demeanour, offers clear, steady guidance and expresses confidence in the team's ability to meet the challenge, actually empowers them to perform at their best. This is the same approach I take with my pony King. It's about having that consistent delivery, making sure that communication is broken down into smaller chunks so he understands it, and to provide that steady guidance, that praise when praise is due. It builds his confidence and it makes him a better horse, and being able to respond clearer to my requests. Think about the last time your team faced a significant pressure or a setback. What was the prevailing energy you brought to that situation? How do you think it impacted those around you? Also, reflect on when you walk into a room or join a virtual meeting, what's the energetic wake you leave behind? Is it one that settles and focuses, or one that agitates all that were in the meeting? Calm doesn't mean passive, it means anchored, present and steady. And the real magic is intention. Horses feel your intention before you move a muscle. They sense whether you're here to connect, to control, to rush, or to simply be with them. In leadership, our intention is our compass. If you're leading from fear, ego, or urgency, people will feel that. If you're leading from vision, connection, and shared purpose, people will feel that too. Before any big meeting, project, or team conversation, I often ask myself, what's the deeper why here? What do I really want them to walk away with? So let me ask you, can your team feel your intention? Is it clear to them? When our intention is grounded and aligned, our actions naturally flow. Our words carry more weight. Our leadership becomes more than performance. It becomes influence. All of this, clear cues, calm energy, and strong intention, means very little if we're not listening in return. Great horse people are master observers. They know how to read the flick of an ear, the nuance of the stance, the muscle tension, and the softness of a sigh. Feedback is always present, and we just have to attune to it. It's no different with our teams. I once watched a leader run a team briefing. Fantastic content delivered with polish, but you could almost feel the disengagement in the room. People weren't leaning in. There were few questions, and it was very clear to me that she hadn't read the room. She hadn't been able to look at the people in that room and know that they needed clarity in some areas. Another example is when I was in a strategic planning session where the leader was passionately outlining a new direction. They were so focused on delivering their vision that they missed the increasingly hesitant body language and the subtle, anxious glances being exchanged around the room. Had they paused and read the room, they could have addressed those unspoken concerns early. Perhaps by asking, I'm sensing some reservations. What's coming up for you all? Instead, those unvoiced doubts festered and later created significant resistance to the plan. Reading the herd isn't just about noticing, it's about creating that space to respond to what you notice. As leaders, we must ask, are people with us or just enduring us? Are they energized or fatigued? And are they silent because they agree or because they've given up? Emotional intelligence isn't just a nice to have as a leader. It is vital. It's how we respond in real time to what our people need. Sometimes that means slowing down. Sometimes it means adapting the plan. Sometimes it just means saying, I notice something's off. Let's talk. So looking at all the points that I've mentioned today, I've talked about clear cues, say what you mean what you say, align your message, tone and presence. Calm energy, be the steady presence that others can anchor to. Focused intention, leading from purpose and letting your why share your how. And then finally reading the room, tuning in, adjusting, leading in relationship, not isolation. These lessons from the paddock can transform how we lead in every corner of life. By tuning into our clarity, our calm, our intention, and our relational awareness, we build the kind of trust and psychological safety that allows true momentum to build. We move from feeling like we're herding cats to experiencing the satisfaction of moving in harmony with our herd. This episode has been your invitation and perhaps a gentle nudge to realign how you lead, starting from within, to become more aware of what your team hears, especially when you're not talking. What's one small shift you can make this week to bring more clarity, more calm energy to your team? I'd love to hear your thoughts. You can find me on Instagram. I am Mirinda Smith. Until next time, may your cues be clear, your energy calm, and your leadership truly connect. Thanks for joining me on the Reins of Leadership. Remember to lead with presence and influence with trust. Subscribe for more insights and find resources at mirindasmith.podia.com.